Hello. I hope everybody is having a wonderful evening. We are in an event today. It is the Creative Kinship Event Group. It is hosted by Miss Tonya. And up before me was Miss Sheila's Creations and Crafts, and up after me will be a Country Living Market with Miss Bev. Thank you, Miss Tonya. I appreciate it, dear. So the link to the free group, Creative Kinship Event Group, is in the description of this live. You can see all of the creators there. So hopefully you will be able to give everybody a follow and go and see what everybody's up to, right? Because that's like the best part of it. And see what everyone is doing. Now, I was trying to find myself so I could do what all of y'all have been doing, which is sprinkling myself out, which I thank you for that very much. And sometimes I forget to do this, so I'm going to send out my telegram too. Alright, let us get started, friends. Hey there, Miss Lisa. How are you doing, dear? Okay, so I am going to, it is Crafter's Choice today, so I'm going to be working on some components for a junk journal that I am working on. And I pulled out my glitters, my chunky glitters, and I've got my little mini bottles here because we are going to be making mini little potion bottles to go into my journal. And you might be like, well, that's really weird. Hey there, Miss Karen. You must be like, that's really weird that you're gonna do that for a junk journal. Isn't junk journal like paper and stuff? Well, when I make journals, I do mixed media journals, and I tend to be kind of, I don't know, sometimes extra on them. And so this journal right here, hey there, Miss Trudy. This journal right here is actually for a competition that happens this week, which that's why I'm trying to get it finished. And it opens up, and so there are my pages. I still have to add my second signature in, but as you can see, I created this shelf here, and the idea is I want to have like little like bottles to make it feel kind of like a little apothecary type thing. And then I have, where'd it go, this little plastic piece here from like an old Kinder egg that my daughter gave me, and I want to turn it into a little cauldron to put over in here. So that's what we're going to be working on. Little components to go inside of this so that we can I can add those and essentially finish up this journal. So again, I hope everybody is doing well, and that you are having a wonderful day. It's been a long day already for me, a very long day. Hubby had appointments today that we had to go to. For those who may not know, thank you, Miss Lisa. For those who may not know, my hubby had a stroke back at the beginning of June, and so we go to a lot of appointments. And today he had physical therapy and a doctor's appointment that he had to go to. So, and then I had a funeral. My best friend, her father passed away. So we had that. So, you know, there's just things going on. And, but yeah. So, now, these were something that came out from the Dollar Tree, but I feel like they're a little on the big side. But I may keep them out just in case if I want to use them or not, but I'm not sure. I think I'm going to use just the regular little ones that we can get and we can fill in. And like I said, I have all kinds of like little chunky glitters and all kinds of other little doodads and stuff like that that we can use. So we'll use those. Hello there. How are you doing, dear? Thank you for popping on, Moody Cow. Alright. And let's see. These ones are all the flat ones, right? I think those ones are all the flat ones. So that means we need to get some lids for these ones. Hello, hello. Thank you again for coming on. And Miss Sheila, thank you so much for swapping times with me. Y'all, I did not realize how long funerals are sometimes. But she was so gracious and swapped with me, and that was just amazing, and I'm so grateful for that. Okay, what do we have here? Well, that one is round and is not gonna stay, so that one does me no good. That is a flatter, chunky one, and then that's like those ones, so we'll leave that there. Okay, so let's start filling some of these up. And you can find a lot of like these small little ones, like you can get them in the jewelry section. These ones have some like really interesting like little tops on them, and you know, again, you can find these, and I think it's really neat. So I like to pick them up because you never know what you might be creating. Okay, so some of these I'm thinking would look actually really cool. Thank you. That shelf is awesome. Do you teach that? Yes, Miss Trudy. I actually, I mean, yeah, I like to teach all the different things that I do. And believe it or not, that shelf is made out of chipboard and paper, and I embossed my paper to be able to get, I don't know if you guys can see, the texture for the bricks as well as the wood grain texture. But yeah, I mean, I like to, like this style journal cover that I came up with last year for the first junk journal battle that I was in. I'm actually teaching that at the end of this month at my retreat, so I'll be teaching now how to do that. But yes, I love to teach and impart like all my kind of crazy creativity. All the crazy that comes out of my head. Because sometimes there's a lot of that. Alright, so because this is, okay, so this one looks like a little metal, and I think that would be really cool. So we're going to use this one. It's got that metallic look to it. And I don't know that blue would look so well. So that's the other thing, is like finding colors that are going to go with. See, now this looks almost like little pieces of paper. It's a chunky glitter, and this would look really cool. I think that would look almost like, I don't know, like scales or something. Hi there, Miss Sheila. Thank you so much for popping on, and again, thank you for covering. It really meant the world to be able to be there for my friend, so I appreciate that. This is a dark chunky glitter, and it has black and purple and gold in it. So that's really a good vibe for what I've got going. So I am going to use that one. I have a little bit left of this one, and it'll pair up with this one, so we'll use that. I'm not sure about if I want to use gold or greens in this one, so we shall see. There's a lot going on in here. Alright, I do have one of these. Thank you. I do have one of these right here. It's just a little mini silicone, what you call this? Oh my gosh, totally slipping my mind. But anyways, this is really good so that we don't get it everywhere. So I am going to be using my little funnel. There we go. Now it came back to me. I'm going to be using this little funnel. Thank you. I really do appreciate it, Miss. I do, Miss Sheila. Alright, so let's start filling these up. And now we are going to glue the lids because I am going to attach these to the shelf because it is a journal and I don't want the stuff flying everywhere. Now what's good is that since this is silicone, you can manipulate that tiny little you know, to fit, especially like for something small like this, right? And ooh, let me figure out how we're going to get this open. There we go. And yeah, I think that'll be enough for there. And that one's all finished. We'll try to get the rest of this stuff down in here. If you have stuff to do wax seals, you can cover these with wax seals. It'll make them look even more like old bottle type. And I'm definitely going to do that for these ones right here, because these ones don't have the little cork lid to them, so we have to plug them some way. So I'm gonna shove a little piece of paper there, and then we could do the wax seal on them, or if you have glue or something of that nature, like your hot glue, you can do that and then cover it as well. Alright, let us, not a whole lot on that one, but it'll be fine. Alright, let's do the other one, this one that looked more like paper pieces, because again, to me this makes me think of like scales and stuff. And if we're talking about like an apothecary, you know, I kind of want to think that they have maybe some little odd ends in there, right? And some of these pieces are a little bit on the big side and not wanting to go through my little hole there. Come on, go in. There we go. They need to be encouraged, you know, and that is fine. Everybody needs some encouragement sometimes, including our craft supplies. See, like now it's like stuck in here. So, no problem. We find solutions, right? We'll grab some tweezers and loosen it up a little bit in the jar. Yeah, exactly what I was trying to avoid, stuff ending up on my desk, but it's okay. Alright, come on. I'm going to encourage you to go back in. You know, I like mini, but you could make something like this a little larger, in larger scale, and it would still look really cute. You know how they have like those little book nooks or the little mini rooms and stuff? I think that would look really, really, really cute. Yeah, those ones were just way too big. So if you like making things like that, I mean, I think that would make a cute little book nook to put on your shelf. You know, and you could fill it with whatever you want. I'm thinking we can even put some moss in some of these, because, you know, herbs and things of that nature were also used, right? Little florals. All the things that were used for healing and making, you know, potions, which were in reality were, you know, things that were made to help heal the body, ailments. You know, if you look into like what they would call a person that was a witch, was a healer. I mean, she was a midwife, because she could help a woman give birth and not die in the process, or her child, or because she could find herbs and things that were in nature, instead of like the bloodletting and, you know, all this other stuff that the quote unquote medical doctors, the ones that knew everything, but rather relied on, you know, what was provided to us in reality by God and nature to heal our bodies, and yet they were told to be, you know, devil worshippers. Because how did they know this? Well, a lot of stuff was passed down, you know, in the whole of society, right? Things were, you know, unless you went to quote unquote medical school, you weren't smart, and yet there was so much knowledge that was passed down through generations, and it's sad that it had to be lost, you know, to the to what was supposed to be better, and yet many times that was really not good. I mean, how many people died from the better medicine, you know? Alright, this glitter, the way it's a chunky glitter, and it almost looks like crystals, even though it's just little pieces of of plastic, of iridescent plastic. So we're gonna use some of that one, because like I said, it looks like little crystals, and I want to use those little pieces in here. I can only imagine how crazy Atlanta is right now, because right now one of the semi-final games from the World Cup is being played. So that has got to be crazy. It has got to be crazy. Oops. Okay. Now this is one of the ones that does not have a lid, so we are definitely going to have to put something on it so that these little pieces don't fly everywhere. Okay, so that one definitely has to be one that we have to fix. But right now I first want to get everything filled. So this one here has like little bitty tiny florals, so I think that'll be great. So let's get the little itty bitty little flowers in here. You know, how many of us are now starting to listen to what our grandmas used to tell us as far as, you know, things to take when we were feeling sick, instead of always running to the medicine cabinet, right? Okay, I put too much, so I'm gonna have to put some back, because if not I won't even be able to close this. Alright. So see there, that one's got little flowers in it. Alright, I have, and then we have one that has hearts and stars. I don't think I want to do that one. This one is full of hearts, so we're going to make like a little love potion. Your mom was a nurse and always told you what to take. You know, my mom is also a nurse, and same thing. She would always tell us what to take, and she's also big on, you know, the home remedies and the homeopathic way, because of there being less reactions by our bodies. I don't think this yeah, I don't think that's going in right. I think I need one with a larger entrance. Where did I put my bowl? Down. So my mom was always big on telling us, you know, and then of course there's all the home remedies, and I'll take it, you know. I mean, it's like the first thing when I was telling her about hubby, and you know, she was like, well, is he taking garlic? Garlic helps to lower the blood pressure, you know, and all this, that, the other, and you know, things for his diet. So because yeah, you take a bunch of blood pressure medicines, and then guess what, you know, there's all kinds of side effects to those, right? I mean, it just happens. It's just the way it is. Things have side effects to them. Really? That's amazing, Miss Lisa. There is so much that we can do for our bodies. And like, I know that I know that my diet is not the best. I will say that in a heartbeat. I know it's not. I know I don't eat the healthiest, and that doesn't help, because what you put in is what you will get out. I think I'm going to take a little bit out of this one. Wow. That is very cool. That is very, very cool. Like, my mom has worked on the state board for healthcare in Costa Rica, and when everything went down with COVID, like, she was telling us, you know, take these vitamins, take, you know, these things to help, you know, support your immune system, to fight and and stop it and combat it and all the stuff. All the things that later, after they shoved a bunch of meds down your throat here in the States, later they came out saying, you know, these things were good and were, you know, were good to be doing as protocol. And I'm like, okay, how is it that other countries, you know, were already doing protocol and knew how to react to stuff before the States did? Like, that blows my mind. Okay, so these right here are like little, they're called metallic glass beads. They're teeny tiny little beads, and I think these are gonna look super cute in here. Because to me, it almost looks like little seeds, you know? So, of course, the one thing I detest about silicone is that it can be very staticky. So, I do have a bunch of stuff sticking, which means I'm going to have to clean it afterwards. But there's a bunch of, like, so it makes it look like a little, honestly, almost like little mustard seeds, which I think is really, really cute. And then I'm going to use the yellow as well. So we'll have like two different little types of seeds in our little apothecary. And I know this might not seem like the greatest of little crafts. I know that everybody else is such talent and has already done amazing crafts, and I know that the ladies that are left after me are going to bring a bunch too. But this is something I actually was needing to get done, and I figured we could do it together. And these look like little mustard seeds to me. They're so small. It's crazy. You know, I try not to use like super fine glitter and stuff because of the cats. They always like getting into stuff, and you know, if you use glitter, you know, it gets everywhere and it stays everywhere, which is definitely not the coolest definitely not the coolest thing. So yeah, we'll make something liquidy with those ones. I think that would be really cool if we had something liquidy. Alright, so I'm going to leave that as is. And see, this is why we have to put a lid on these, because if not, I'm going to continue to drop everything. Alright, let me just get any little piece of paper here and try and shove it in just to help start blocking there, and we'll finish to block this off. Like I said, you can use wax seal, just so that it doesn't come out. Then I do have some different colored moss that I want to use, because again, I think mosses would be something that would be had, right? Because it kind of reminds me of vegetation, right? And I do think that there would be different types of herbs. So, different types of herbs. I think that is crucial in a little apothecary. I'm just using my tweezers now to help push the little bits and pieces from this moss. This tricolored moss I purchased at Michael's, and I like it because it doesn't lose a lot of like debris, kind of like the reindeer, no, not reindeer, well, don't even talk about Spanish moss. Spanish moss is like terrible, but I definitely wanted there to be some colors, but I like this because it doesn't disintegrate everywhere, because that's the only bad part about moss, is that I feel like it's super messy, and I don't like messy. So that was the green, and then this is pinks. So we're gonna do one with the greens, and we'll do one with the pinks. Hello. How are you doing, Miss Carla? So we're going to put this in. And again, I'm going to do two colors. I'll do the lighter and the darker, so I get that contrast in the jar. And then we can add these in. if I push it down too compact, it almost, to me, it almost looks like brains. So I'm trying not to like, I'm trying to let it be a little more freeform because I don't want it to look like brains. Right? That's not the idea. The idea is that it looks like, you know, some kind of herbs. We're not trying to have any weird stuff in our little shelf of herbs and tonics. The after work shower. Well, you know, what can I tell you? You know, I mean, you gotta do it, right? Okay. If you have mica powders, you can use the mica powders with some water to make the liquidy ones, which I will probably do that. Trying to get this to tuck in here a little bit, at least until I can get the glue on. Okay. Alright. So I'm warming up my heat tool, or my hot glue, however you want to call it. Yeah, it is. Now I'm not sure if that is going to work, but I'm going to leave this out to remind me. This one even has a little label on it, which is super cute. That's something else that you could totally do if you have the patience, is to put little mini labels like this one has. This one has like a number on it, and I think that's super cool. I need to remember that I need to clean that. Okay. So, bringing all of my little, let's move all of my little vials off here. Hey there, Miss Tracy. Welcome. Okay, so here is the shelf, and let me see if I can figure out a way, sorry, to get you guys in an angle, and a little bit of a better angle. Okay, so the idea is that we're going to take all of these little vials and add them to the shelf, alright, in this journal. Okay, little by little we can figure out, I think the top one is a little bit smaller. That's gonna be something, is figuring out which ones are too tall. Because obviously if it's too tall, it's not gonna fit. So like that one's too tall. I wonder if, okay, that one would be fine without the little lid. So I have to keep that one in mind. These ones would not fit there. I could potentially fit some of those there. So then we're going to move some of these up. I was trying to figure that out too, but you know, I was like, huh, what? Like, I knew it was you because you're the only one that calls me that, so I knew it was you. But I was like, what in the... It's all good. It's all good, you figured it out. Alright, so let's get... I'm going to use just a little bit of E6000. Oh, where did my E6000 go to? Let's see. Okay. So I'm going to use a little bit of my E6000 and I'm going to take it and I'm going to put it on the inside of the rim, and this is going to be what's going to seal off our little containers. Okay, then we are going to attach these with a little bit of hot glue and the E6000. So that way this is not going to move when people are opening and closing the journal, right? Because that's the last thing I want, is that when people are opening up and closing the journal, that things are going to fly out of it, because that's not the idea. Okay, so again, I'm going to put a little bit of glue on here. Get down, hold it just a little bit. And I'm sorry, I know this is definitely not the best of angles. I normally do stuff downward, but in this case, this must be done standing up so that I get the vials right where they need to go. Okay, good. I'm glad. Because like I said, this is not an angle that I normally work with, so I wasn't quite sure how it was going to look. But I'm glad that y'all can see well. And like I said, this little shelf is something that is made out of paper and chipboard. It's nothing crazy, fancy, or anything like that. I'm sure someone very smart like Miss Carla could figure out how to cut one on her laser I'm sure if I gave Gary time, he'd figure out how to cut it on our laser. But I just sat here and started cutting and trimming. Oh, thank you. I'm so glad that you think it's awesome. I really do. I am going to make a little miniature book. You know, because normally when in our kitchens, right, we have books that are like open with recipes. So I was thinking it would be really cool if there was an open book here, but obviously it would have to be to scale. It would have to be small. So I'm thinking I will probably be taking some scraps of paper and just building a little book to be able to do that with. Stay. Because I think that would be really cool if it had a little book there, right? We'll have a journal in a journal. I think that's a fun concept, huh? A journal in a journal. And like I said, this little this is like from one of those little Kinder eggs back when they still had prizes in them, so that's pretty old. That my daughter gave me. And so I'm gonna paint this black, and I'm gonna end up trimming it because of this piece here, and we'll put this in here to look like it's a brewing something. I like to do a little bit of everything. I do. I like to do a little bit of everything. I like to explore. And yes, miniatures have a special place in my heart. I think they are super cute and adorable. I did a coffin-shaped journal, and at the top of the coffin, because you know the shape of the coffin, at the top of the bottom half opened when you open the lid to the coffin, the bottom had the journal pages. The top of the coffin had like a little shelf space, and we actually did it on a live here on Facebook. I created a little chandelier out of paper clips, and we did a little table. So we had the chandelier, a table, a miniature like picture, and just a few different things that we even made like some curtains, and that was to represent like the room of Dracula, since you know he sleeps in his coffin, so he had to have stuff in his coffin area. Again, I'm definitely not an expert, but I love it. Yes. So there's that one. Let's put our little this one has the moss on it. I'm excited to see. Ooh, and I totally forgot already who was up after me. Y'all, I'm terrible. Oh my gosh. Miss Tonya's gonna fire me. I do know there was a last minute change in the lineup where Miss Tonya will be on at 8 instead of at 9, so the event will be finishing an hour early. I know that much. Alright, so this one is one of the ones that we just put a little bit of paper there. So I'm going to cover this with just some hot glue, and then we can color, we can paint it. If you have wax from like wax seals, this is a great thing to do with that. I love putting the wax from wax seals on bottles, and even the larger bottles is really, really cool. So, but this journal here, it's Friday. Friday is the Battle of the Junk Journals on Whatnot. That's where this one will be going and will be auctioned off. And I know that my journals are not for everybody because they're very, we'll just say that they are very eclectic. Bev, thank you. Bev is next. Yes. Yes, she is. So I'm just waiting for that to dry. In the meantime, I know that these will fit up top, just not with their cork. So we need to do something very similar to that. We need to plug them so we don't have stuff going everywhere. Thank you, Miss Sheila. So again, just gonna plug it with, you know, just a little piece of paper, something, so that it doesn't, because I definitely don't want these little beads everywhere. And then same thing, we're going to put the glue on top. Okay. My heat tool is starting to get cold, so the glue is not as flowy as I would want it to be. So that might be a bit of a problem. Now, I do not recommend this at home. Because not everybody has a, you know, a heat tolerance. So please don't if you do not have a heat tolerance, okay? And then I can trim the rest off. But at least this way I know that I've plugged it and that the stuff is not going to fall out. So yes, children, do not do this at home. Y'all remember all those commercials or even TV shows where it'd be like, do not try this at home. So then it's like, well, then why are you showing us? You know somebody's gonna try it, even though you tell them not to. My brother would be one of them. Ah, that one's a little too far down. I don't need you that far in. See, now it went down in, and I did not need that. Okay, I'm pulling it out over my trash can because I did not want to make a mess. And we're going to do this again. So I will be taking pictures of the journal but she, like I said, she will be one that is actually going out the door by this weekend. I just hope to inspire somebody to try, you know, doing maybe a different style journal than your regular just paper. You know, at the end of the day, you know, when we create, we should be creating for the love of it, right? And if we love creating miniatures, why not incorporate them with the love of paper, which is what I was thinking. If we like metals, why not incorporate that, right? If you, anything that you enjoy doing, you should do. Okay, so I just wiggle it until it gets to where my finger's gonna come off because it's dried. And then I trim that mushroom cap off because I don't need it. But this is going to keep everything sealed together. And now we can attach those. So up next we have Miss Bev, who is, her page name is trying to pull it up again. It is Country Living Market. Country Living Market, and that is Miss Bev, and she is going to be up. I'm just adding a little bit of gold pen to the edges here, so it looks like it has like a little gold, you know, lid. Thank you so much for having me, Miss Tonya, and again, thank you so much, Miss Sheila, for swapping times with me so that I could have time with my friend and her family as we said goodbye to her father today. So I do appreciate that very, very much. Alright friends, let's go and see Miss Beverly, and thank you for joining me through this crazy journey with this very different journal. Thank you again so much. Have a wonderful evening. Oh, it's my pleasure always, Miss Lisa. And thank you for sharing yours, because you do amazing printables, and thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. All of you are amazing artists, and I love you guys, and I'm always inspired by each and every single one of you. So remember to stay kind and show each other love. I love you, and I will see you guys soon.